Hey gang, Ronan here. Welcome on back to the Cade and another episode of our one-day features. And this week is a special one for me because we're going to go back to 1987 and we're going to play the very first game that I ever got for my good old Nintendo Entertainment System. We're playing the original Top Gun. If you know anything about this game, if you're as old as I am, then you know it's a game that you can beat in a couple hours. But in 40 years of playing video games, not only have I never beaten it, I don't know anybody who's ever beaten it. It's really simple. You play a particular fighter pilot of an F-14. You may know his name. I'm not going to give it here, but you know who I'm talking about. And you've got to basically take down as many MiGs and as many bad guys as you can. Now, in this game, you see here, you get different missile types at your discretion. I have never gone with anything other than the T-11 Hound, because having the most amount of missiles really helps you out over the course of this game that I've experienced. Now, granted, the T-11s, they're short-range missiles. The T-22 Wolves are medium-range missiles, and the T-33 Tigers are long-range missiles, but you only get 10 of those per swing. So I'm just going to go with the Hounds, and we're going to go from here. And the thing that I immediately took to as a kid, and again, I got this game when I was about 9-10 years old, was it puts you in the cockpit. But what you're going to find out over the course of the next 25 minutes or so is this game is anything but simple. Now, this first level is pretty much an introductory level to the combat system. So you have to double tap the B button to be able to fire missiles off. Your A button is being able to fire your gun. You have unlimited gun. You have unlimited bullets in your cannon, I should say. And then, like any other flight simulator game, you just follow standard aviation mechanics. So down is actually up is actually down. But now here's where the fun starts, because now I'm going to have stuff coming at me. What I got to be able to do is especially dodge missiles. You don't have to worry about maintaining speed or anything in this game, or at least not in this stage. Dealing with that will come when we get through this. Now, one of the reasons why this game is so well liked was because it was the first game that really, of the 8-bit generation, that gave you this sort of perspective in a flight simulator game. But do not kid yourself. This game is hard. Now I can get this bogey off my tail real quick, which in the first level is not nearly as difficult. Now, if I get through this, and I'll know because I will hit a certain score level that will allow me to do so. I'll be able to take that one out? I did. Then I have to get back to the carrier and land. Whew, I almost got picked off by that missile. Now, a big aspect of this game is pattern recognition, and even 40 years later, I can still remember how some of this stuff works. Which, I don't know what that necessarily says about me more than anything else. Take them out. Now, I should have 3 more MiGs coming the other way. But it is funny how much the muscle memory just sticks with you. That plane will go away. I get that one? Yes, I can. Now I gotta land. And landing in this game is by far the most challenging aspect of it. Because as you will see, what you have to do is you've got to follow the instructions of the carrier, and you have to worry about controlling your speed while also controlling your height. So you've got to be able to hit about 200 miles an hour, or about 288 miles an hour in order to land while also making sure you don't go too low. So it's a matter of just kind of tapping the stick and just gently working the throttle and hoping that when this thing gets close enough, we can land on the deck. And we did it. I will tell you, when I did my practice run on this to make sure the game works as it needs to, I crashed badly. So the other difficult thing about this game is that you only get 3 lives to get through the entire game. So you have to span 4 levels of increasing difficulty with only 3 lives, and you get no continues. Now, when this game came out in 1988, it was released by Konami for the Nintendo Entertainment System. And it sold really, really well, in no small part because it was banking off the success of the movie by which it is named. And by 1989, it had sold nearly 2 million units in the US alone. So Konami had a winner on its hands. And eventually, it did cross that threshold. And as far as how it was rated, Computer and Video Games Magazine gave it an 82%. All Game gave it 4 out of 5 stars. But the general consensus was somewhere in the ballpark of about 70 to 80% for the time. Later reviews of this game weren't nearly as kind to it. At the time it came out, it was considered visually sparse, but the difficulty involved and the way that you get this first-person perspective was considered fairly novel for the time. But later on, it was actually considered too simplistic in that it didn't have any real replay value to it. Which, yes, I almost got hit by that missile. I get. Because, yes, it's a game that has 4... Oh, boy. Look out. It's got only 4 levels to it. And if you're not good enough to really get further along... Ooh. Got a bogey. Oh, I am not sure how I managed to get that cluster of missiles. Usually those missiles dart in so fast that if you're not careful, they will just wipe you out. Whew. Now, the bar underneath my radar screen, you see it's got a diminishing amount of... Whoa, look out. Of dashes on it. That is the health of my plane. Ooh, and I could not avoid that missile. So, if you die, you have to start back either at the beginning of it or the midway point. Oh, and could not avoid that second set of missiles. This game does challenge your reflexes more than you think. And as somebody who, starting really with this game, developed a massive love of flight simulators. To this day, like I said, we've already profiled Ace Combat 1 on this game, on this series. We did that 2 weeks ago. And really, starting from here, it's been any chance I got to play a flight simulator on every new system that I have acquired over the years. So every new PlayStation I picked up, whenever I upgraded a computer, it was what can I play for a flight sim on here? And really, that's been one of the true game genres that I am very, very passionate about to this day. Is that I am very much a sucker for a good old-fashioned flight sim. Whoop, but now we get to refuel. Now this is the other challenging bit of this game. Is that we've got to pull up behind this plane, and we've only got so much time to be able to link up and get fuel. And again, it's like landing. You've got to deal with the A button and the B button. Whoop. And if we can't get there in time, which we managed to do. But if we weren't able to successfully do that, the plane would have eventually just taken off without us. We would have run out of fuel, and we would have crashed in the ocean. But now we've got a problem because we've got a full tank of gas, but we don't have a full tank of health. So we can really only take one major shot before we are toast. So this is going to be a matter of evading like mad, try and not get hit with shells or missiles. And unlike games that came along a little bit further, like Afterburner, but we died because we got hit by one cannon. But as I was saying, unlike Afterburner, which was a Sega-based flight simulator game, which gave you an external perspective of your plane as you were flying it, and also allows you to do things like barrel rolls and all that stuff. That's not a luxury you have in this game. So let's see, we've got about 13 minutes. Let's see what we can do to try this again. Now, in one review, critic Christopher Michael Baker, he praised the graphics and the realistic sound effects and stated it was arguably the best air warfare game ever released for the Nintendo Entertainment System, let alone the 8-bit generation. And I'm inclined to agree with that. Graphically, I think Konami really got a lot right with this game. He did, however, state that his primary frustration with the game was the difficulty, which includes making split-second decisions required in determining whether to avoid or destroy missiles, and the lack of continues. Now this, unlike a lot of games of this era, this wasn't an arcade port. Konami made this specifically for the NES. It was eventually when Nintendo started putting out those PlayChoice 10 arcade cabinets in the late 80s, early 90s, of which I still see them around in various arcades I go to this day. They put Top Gun in there with a bunch of their other games that you could play. But it was not a bespoke arcade game. So in a lot of ways, Konami had more going for it in terms of what it had available to offer players for this type of a game. But you also have to think about in terms of where we were at now 35, 36 years ago, and understanding that graphically and physically, a lot of what we would expect to see in a flight sim just was not possible back then. This was really, in a lot of ways, the best of what we could get. So for people like me who can now go ahead and buy like a flight stick and go whole hog on any sort of modern flight simulator we want to play on a PC, or even on like a PS4, PS5, Xbox Live setup like that, it's an entirely different world now. I mean, you even look at a game like a Microsoft Flight Simulator. When I first started playing Microsoft Flight Simulator back, geez, 30 years ago, it might as well be Sanskrit compared to what you can do with it nowadays. Like, I have friends of mine who have used Microsoft Flight Simulator to help get their pilot's licenses, like legitimately. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. It's the fact that the technology has reached a stage where that's even a possibility, where it can become nearly a one-to-one variation of real life. And I can say the exact same thing about a lot of racing games and a lot of simulation type games that are out there now. When we were 10, 11 years old, that just was not an option yet. Although I will tell you, being able to look back on a game like this now and go through that evolution from here to now was really cool. You know, I'm there's a lot of things about my childhood, my adolescence, that I don't look back on with any familiarity or fondness whatsoever. And this is a gaming channel. This isn't a therapy session, so I'm not gonna bore you with those details. But you know, it is one where I can look at the way that I've been an eyewitness to how these sorts of games have grown and shifted and morphed over the span of my lifetime. And it's pretty damn cool. Alright, we should be in good shape to hit this thing. Ooh, except I gotta pull up, I gotta pull up, I gotta pull up. It's really easy to overshoot the mark or undershoot it. It's real easy to undershoot it as much as overshoot it. But we got it again. Now you can either come in way too hot and go right over the top of the carrier and crash, or you can come in way too slow and just hit the drink right in front of it. I mean, there's a million ways that can go wrong. And even now, it's one where I still get the same charge I got out of how I felt as a kid, managing to pull that off. It does feel like you've actually accomplished something in gaming terms by allowing yourself to do this. Now, they did come out with a sequel to this game. It was called, not undramatically, Top Gun 2: The Second Mission. And what I really liked about that game was not so much the mission side of it, the story mode, but I actually liked that you could do one-on-one player duels with you and a friend, which I always thought was great. I mean, essentially, you had two-player deathmatch. Oh, could not avoid the missile. You could also do a duel against the computer against different aces. And they created different personas that you can fight against. And those were actually, I found, a whole lot of fun. I played that more than I played the actual game. In fact, I don't think I ever played the story mode in Top Gun 2 for more than, I would say, maybe 5 minutes. And it wasn't that I didn't think it was good, it just didn't appeal to me as much. Got out of the way of that missile. And really, if you can bank far enough right or left, then usually you can get out of the way of those missiles, but not this time. But realistically, this is a game that you can beat because the levels are not that long. They are challenging, and the further you go, they are multi-stage levels. Like in this one, it will refuel. Provided I make it, and I did not. So, all right, we'll try one more time since we've got about 10 minutes left. But you realistically can beat this game in an hour. I mean, it's in that respect, it's not much different than, say, Einhander or, other games that are designed to be beaten fairly quickly. But it's whether or not you can manage to withstand the degree of difficulty required to get there, which is no easy feat. Like I said, I have never known anybody who played this game who actually beat it. And I've known, quite a few gamers over the span of 40 odd years. And if you have beaten this game, if you managed to get all the way through this game and finish it, by all means, drop me a comment and let me know, one, how you did it, and give me your experience going through that. Because I genuinely would like to know. Because once you get past level 2, which is where I keep dying, and you knock out a carrier, you have to do level 3 as a desert mission, where you then have to go and take out a fortress. And level 4 is a night mission, where you have to go and stop a Russian space shuttle from launching. And it is not easy. I think I've gotten to... When I was really good at this game, I got to level 3 fairly regularly. But the thing about dealing with the carrier is that the carrier launches missiles in 2 different directions. Ah! Could not avoid that. I thought I hit it. While also sending guns and fighters at you because it's an aircraft carrier. And if I remember right, you've got to hit it with about, I want to say, a good 20 missiles. And that's the other thing about this game, is that you have to ration your missiles. You can do it on this first level. You can kind of go to town with them because, one, you don't have a big baddie to face. You just have to rack up points. And 2, the enemy MiGs line up enough that, provided you can target right, you can take them out with a with your cannon. Now, I wonder if I'm going to have enough to be able to land. Because, well, I'll be able to inevitably, but... it's a question of, do I have enough points to be able to do it? And again, if you have a controller that allows you to have a turbo function, then you can just hold it down and fire the cannon as much as you want. So we'll see if I can land this puppy one more time. I'm 2 for 2. If I can go 3 for 3, then regardless of the fact that I can't seem to get much better than halfway through level 2, I'll still feel like I accomplished something. Alright, let's keep it steady. Now I'm a little bit too high. There we go. That's about where I want it. Right about there. And I'm 3 for 3. Ha! Easy's falling off a log, said the man casually falling off a log. All right, we'll give this one more go. I've only got 2 guys left, so I mean, realistically, if I don't make it in the next 5 minutes, which would not be surprising, then I can call this good. I mean, this is meant to be a one-day playthrough, and it is meant to challenge myself to see, with a game I genuinely have not played in 30 years, if I can still make it. Whoa. Duck out of the way of that. Next. And as you see, if you can get the pattern recognition down, and for these guys, when they're on your tail like this, all you got to do is really bank hard one way and then bank really quick the other. You get a bogey on your tail, and that's really all you need to do. You just bank hard left or bank hard right, and then you can swing them off you pretty easily. Okay. We're nowhere near the end of our fuel reserve yet. But we got hit by 2 missiles instead. Now, if you make it to 50,000 points, you don't get an extra life in this game. It is 3 and out. Now, if you have the ability, if you have an NES and if you have a Game Genie, I believe, I bought it. I believe there is a way to program in where you can either have unlimited lives or you can take no damage. But it has been so long since I've played this game, I don't genuinely remember for sure. But that, everybody, is the original Top Gun from 1987 by Konami for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Again, it's a game that you truly can beat in an hour. But it's not going to lay down and let you do it. You're going to have to really work to get there. And if you've managed to be one of those, for lack of a better term, Top Guns who did so, again, leave me a comment about it. Share your experience with this game with me. I want to be able to know about it. And thanks to everybody who has commented on previous episodes of series that I've posted lately. Again, your feedback and your, the discourse I'm able to put together with you guys is always appreciated, and we do not take it for granted here at the Retrocade. Speaking of, if you want to show us your support, best way to do it, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and ring the bell to be notified of new episodes as they come out. Thank you to everybody who has also been taking part in our bonus playthrough of the original Dark Souls remastered version. We have now crossed episode 40, and I will preview this by letting you know there aren't many episodes left. We are pretty much at the tail end of this game, and it gets pretty hairy towards the end of it. I've already finished recording all the episodes. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it does not necessarily go the way I thought it was going to. But also, you can follow us on social media through Instagram and Threads. Everyone's Retrocade helps spread the word about us so we can continue to build our subscriber base and make this channel bigger and better. Again, it's all about wanting to build a community that celebrates and loves these games between the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th generation, from the early 1980s all the way through to 2010. And on that front, if there is a game that you would like to see us feature from the Nintendo Entertainment System, the Super Nintendo, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, SNK, Neo-Geo, Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, leave it in the comments below or drop me a line on social media. Can be any game from those consoles that you want. We can do it in a one-day playthrough. We may feature it in a WTF Wednesday. We will be bringing back Sports Saturday and Sucker Punch Sunday once the Dark Souls playthroughs are done. And we will be doing a new playthrough at some time in the spring. I haven't determined when yet, so watch this space, but we will let you know. In the meantime, my name is Ronan. It's been great to spend this one-day playthrough with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming, and we will talk to you on Wednesday for WTF Wednesday. Bye.